Very nice. Great, that's bad. Oh, 1 second. Let John in, and then we'll go in. Morning, John.
Morning.
Great. Great. Onegaishimasu.
Onegaishimasu.
Okay, great. Welcome to the New Year training. So we'll start as we normally do. Just loosen off the body a little bit. If it's especially cold, just make it a bit more dynamic. The feet leave the ground. Try and stay on the toes, the ball of the foot. So the body be light. At the top of the head. Reaching towards the ceiling. Nice deep breaths in and out. Okay, just take it to one side of the body. Release that same leg, same arm. The deep breaths as you do it. Okay, coming back into the center. Make the body a little bit heavier as it comes down, raise out to the with compression down, spring out. Do that compression, just notice the hips sinking towards the knees, the feet tensioning, and then release it. Okay, it's kind of elastic, tensioning and release through the body. Right, keep the toes on the ground now. Just gently let the heels start to strike the ground. And as you do it, notice the weight really centering into the base between the 2 feet. You might notice a noise. You might create a kind of vibration through the room. Just notice it. And just settling down. And then we'll just take the front and back direction. So just lengthening the back, lengthening the front as you go back. And just let the arms follow, like they're just big, thick, heavy ropes attached to the side of the body. You start to feel the lower back, kind of loosen and warm up. Just take the forward fold a little bit deeper. Just be careful as you go back. Don't put too much stress on the lower back yet. Just let that forward fold. You might want to let the arms sweep the ground. Good. Nice. Great, and then just extend the reach forwards and the forward fold. Just really release out the shoulders. Fingertips in the ground, just gently, like kind of dusting the ground with the fingertips, or brushing the ground. Just really try and release out the shoulders, the upper back, the neck. Keep the knees gently bent. If you feel any tension in the lower back, just See if you can bend the knees a little bit more, try and release it. Let the arms go. Fingertips heavy. Wrists relaxed. And just let the body still, just let the arms settle down towards the ground. Relax the head, the neck, shoulders. You can feel a gentle pull down the whole spine. A couple of deep breaths. And nice and gently find the toes. And then just trace your way up the feet, up the legs, up to the knees. Let the hands open out to the thighs at the side. Just come up to the top. Great. Good. We do a little bit side to side. Starting with the spine. Think about first just really opening up the rib area. So you can quite kind of moving down the body now into the just kind of band around the ribs. Your thoracic spine. Think about opening up that space between the ribs, both sides of the body as you do it. And as you're doing it, you notice the weight shift from one foot to the other. One foot becoming heavy, one foot becoming light. And so just notice let the head relax, let the face relax. You might notice the side of the face going a little bit heavier. Good. And just pulling the body a little bit straighter. Find the edges of the wall, find the corners of the wall, and just play with that same motion. Just a little bit of tension out with the arms. Try and keep both feet on the ground, but again, just notice that kind of filling and emptying of the feet. You open out the body side to side. Notice the side that's filling, and notice also the side that's emptying as well, that's in the arms as well. And when you lengthen across with tension. Just find in the center again. Relax the arms down. We'll just take it into a light rotation. Just first feel that kind of spiraling motion, where the center of the body is basically again falling between the base, between the space between the 2 feet. Let the body's kind of central column, the spine, just sit within that space, right in the middle of your base. Just let the arms relax, let them just wind and unwind the body. Let the head on top of the spine, just follow that movement. So try and notice if there's got tension in the neck. Just let the head follow the spine. And try and feel that it's a spiraling motion in the body rather than a twisting motion. So rather than twisting the structure, you're just rotating the whole thing around the core. Now it's set nice. Good. And that's Serena.
Michael, I'm just going to jump off my phone and jump back on
Okay.
my laptop. Okay.
Cool. Okay, good. Good. And just play with one thing now, which is the wrapping of the body here. Play with the arms as if they're, imagine there's a little bit like Velcro or there's a little bit of glue on the body. And then feel that the hip is going to kind of snap and open the hands out. So the hands are kind of dead against the body, heavy. And then feel the only way to release them, because I can't move the arms in this case, is to the hip and try and open them out. Now, if I kind of get this kind of feeling, the arms will start to kind of fling out, but try not to do it by flinging the arms out, which sounds silly, but try and basically let the hip do that motion. Let the arms just be as lifeless as possible in this case. They're just dangling at the side of the body. So, good, great. That's it. Yeah, that's it, Catherine. Good. Yeah, good. Now do the same thing, but without rotating the core of the body. So without doing this motion, try and feel that the spine stays straight, but the spine stays forward facing, and you're just letting the hip send the hands out. So you get a little bit of a kind of snap and snap back in the hip, snap and snap back, and just let the hands again follow that movement. Useful to have if you've got like a door line or something, or even the laptop camera or whatever you can use. Find something that you can kind of settle the spine and the central axis on. Just very subtle kicking motion of the hip. Great. Okay. And try and let the spine, the vertical line through the body basically stay forward. So don't let the head go side to side. See if you can basically do this without the head moving. So it's quite a subtle movement of the hips like that. So the spine will flex, but try not to basically do it with the top of the body and the top of the head. Yeah, that's it. Good, good. Okey-dokey. Good. Last one we'll do is working with a wave. So we'll start with this with the kind of opening and closing of the movement. So if we go lower down, if you think about going lower down, this is really working the pelvis area. So think about first just folding the pelvis, or hinging the pelvis, curling the body up, a little bit like a kind of protective kind of position, protecting the internal organs, everything. And then think about the opposite of that, which is opening it out. Pelvis opens out and you open up the hands. So just think of this as kind of opening and closing the body. And then we'll take it into a little bit more of a wave motion. But just start by that really exaggerating the kind of open, closing, and opening out, closing down, opening out, and let the hips, the pelvis really lead the motion, and the hands just let them follow. Okay, try. Nice. Yeah. And if you think about also opening and closing, think about big and small. So think about as you go into this position, think about, can I get myself smaller basically? Can I wrap the arms closer? Can I curl the spine more? Can I close the head a bit closer? So how much can I kind of wrap my body in and make myself small? And then the opposite of that, obviously opening out, how big can I make myself in the space? So how big and open can I get? How small can I get? And how big can you get basically? You just go to those two extremes. That's it. Good. Nice. That's it. Great. And then we'll take this into a more of a spinal wave pattern, but really start it with the pelvis. So it's quite easy in a sense to do this with the upper spine, because that's where a lot of the flexibility is. Try and get the hips to really initiate this. So start with them quite small, and I'm going to use the hands also as a kind of feedback on what the hips are doing. So I'm not allowing the hands to kind of roll around too much. Just keep them by the pelvis and let the hands basically mimic or follow that movement of the pelvis, which is a kind of opening, closing, opening, closing, opening, closing, and just allow yourself to kind of get into that rhythm, get into that pattern of movement. Notice if the knees try and do it, or the feet start to try and do it, really let the hips create that motion. And the rest of the body follows it. So reel out the pelvis to low. You want it like one of these. Oh, I can't show you. You want it to be like this. The bottom's going to do it, and then the top's going to go. The movement comes from the bottom, and the top goes like that, rather than the top trying to do it. And when you're doing a 𝘭𝑬𝑺 work the other way, someone pushes onto you at the top, and you absorb it into the core. But in this case, you're working center out, center to periphery. Yeah, great, good. And then when you feel it, just make this a little bit bigger. So start to open out. Let the hands go. You can also let the arms really come out, open back, and come down with it. So you get a kind of big wave motion. But again, quite easy now for the hands to start to try and take over. Let the hips really lead it. Go with it. And you can let the arms kind of come up over the head if you like. But really let that motion from the hip really come out to the hands, all the way from the top of the spine. Nice, that's it, great. Nice, good. Yeah, good. Oh, great. Yeah, very nice. Great. Okay, great. And then we'll just do 3 swinging practices just to kind of finish the warm up. So start with shoulder width apart. The main thing to think about here is the hip, the knee, and the feet basically falling into one line. So the main danger of this is as I release the body is that the knee's going to go inside, buckle, or try and push outside and buckle that way. So allow the knee to just fall towards the feet, and we'll bring the hands into it. In this case, you raise them up, and just like you're doing a sword cut, basically, just let the arm swing and come up. Swing and come up. So nice full dynamic swing. If you want the first, we'll do the kind of opposite in this case. Make it big, make it full, and then we'll make it a little bit more condensed. So you can even, if you like, with this one, let the head release into the swing. Release into the swing, and you can also let the hands again just brush the ground in and out of the motion. So make it big, really wake up the legs. Let the spine really release. Shoulders release, arms release. So, but again, initiating from the pelvis with a good solid anchor in the feet. That's so. Yeah, good, nice. That's it. So we'll start to compact it a little bit. I think of this like a kind of woodcutter's swing. So when you're going back with it now, think about a little bit of tensioning coming up the back of the head, and then as you go through, think about as if you were really kind of going to impact forwards into something, but release it out. So you find that top kind of tensioning just through the position of the arm, and then just release it, and kind of forget that you're cutting wood. So I'm going to cut wood, I'm going to cut wood, I'm going to cut and release it. Cut wood, release it. Cut wood, release it. Release it. So working with a little bit of tensioning in the arms, especially now. Lower body does basically the same thing, which is just to receive that motion. The hip. The key difference now is the kind of intention in the motion, which is like I'm going to actually impact the weight a little bit forward in front of the body. Yeah. No, that's it, perfect. Yeah, good. Very good. Nice. Okay, notice one thing, which is, I can't really show this, but imagine if you really did have an axe in your hands, imagine if I did this with the spine, and then the weight of the axe will go, whoa, and the body will get kind of dragged backward. I've done this a few times. You don't want to do that. You're going to create lots of problems with the spine. So when you do it, think about you've got the weight in the hands, and imagine what would need to happen in the body to balance that position. Now, if you think about doing it with a sword, it basically means the spine's going to be really lengthened. but I don't want the spine to kind of hyperextend, especially the chest kind of pulling out and the lower back kind of pulling out this way. I've got a really mobile spine, so I don't want basically at the top position that to happen. I want the spine to be kind of hung down, the tailbone down, and the top of the neck kind of lengthening up. So just think about, imagine now you've got a weight in the hands basically as you do it. And just play with now keeping the hands together. Keeping the hands together lightly. You don't need to grip, but just feel that as you come down and up, there's a little bit of tension through the core of the body. And you're thinking about integrating the core now with the arm movement. So it needs to be solid and able to receive that impact. So. Yeah, and the other thing you can play with also linking the hands. You can play with just one on top of the other, like you're doing. But they don't match. But just play with gently tensioning through that motion. Yeah, good. No, that's great. Okay, great. So we'll go into some knife work, but just take your knife or spatula, whatever you've got. We'll do the same exercise with it. So one obvious difference between the weapon work we do Bokken and Jo with the knife is that it's generally one-handed. It's very rare that you've got to be able to put both hands on the Tanto. So it sounds a bit obvious, a bit of an easy thing to say, but Tanto works basically one-sided. The majority of people are right-handed, right? So most of the Tanto work you will ever do is basically with the right hand. Most of the defenses I'm going to do are actually against one side of the body. So we tend to overtrain the right side because it's just naturally how we do it. But we'll try and mix in both sides with this. So, but just start with this idea: the right hand on top. Just imagine you've got the Bokken basically, but the right hand's going to take the Tanto. You're going to do it from the front. Keep that left hand just there, and just do that same motion. So find the back with it, and then just drop into it. So it's useful again, if you think about weapon work, think about a kind of a door or a corner, an edge, and basically just trace the tip of the knife down it, bring it up and trace it down it, bring it up and trace it down it. And imagine you're just like scoring a vertical line forwards. The other difference that we've got with the knife work, and this is really related to this exercise, is that we use the knife as a knife. So we don't use it as a kind of percussive tool like we do with the Bokken. We use it as a blade. So we use the edge of the blade basically to score and basically slice. So it's used it's not what you call it a knife actually. In Japanese, this is actually a dagger, or in English, this is a dagger. It's not really a knife. It's a dagger. So it's used to thrust and stab and slash. So this is basically how we use the knife. So, but the first step for us is just basically linking it with the Bokken work that we do all the time. So if you just think about tracing, we're going to line down, right hand. That's it. And obviously the knife is very sharp. You don't need actually a lot of power behind it. You just need motion. It's just going to cut with motion. That's it. Great, perfect. Okay, and then do the same thing just with the left hand. So feel a little bit weird for a lot of us because if your right hand is your dominant hand, left hand will feel kind of strange on its own. But just do the same thing. Link the right hand below, find the back, and then just trace down. Find the back and just trace down. Find the back, trace down. Again, try and make as kind of perfect vertical cut as you can, or slice as you can. That's that. Nice. Just try and do a few really slow with this, really consciously, and just notice one thing as you do it, the tendency for, in this case, I don't have the other hand to kind of pull it like I would with the Bokken, but notice the tendency for the hands to start to kind of deviate the weapon this way, starting to kind of pull and push it all this way down. So do this really slow, because the other thing I can do with this is just speed up and go fast, and I miss I miss all those kind of motions where they're happening, but they just go too fast for me to notice. So as you do this slowly, notice that you want the hand to basically be steady, relaxed, calm, and that's going to follow from the core of the body. So if the core's calm and settling, the shoulder can settle, the elbow can settle, the wrist can settle, the fingers can settle, everything can stay kind of calm. If there's kind of agitation in the core and the feet, everything's going to be kind of a bit nervous if you go in. So the main thing we're looking for, especially in Aikido, is like calm body movement. And that starts from the core always. So. Serena, what have you got? Potato peel or something? Oh, it's a masher. Nice. Potato masher. Good. Mash them to death. Good. Great. That's nice. Good, good, good. Perfect. And just mixing both left hand and right hand. So let the left hand be the dominant hand, let the right hand. And you can switch at the top even, just play with it, but just notice again that tendency for one hand to maybe pull more than the other. You might feel more connected on one arm than the other. Just notice it. Yeah, good. The slower the better in this case, the more control. Notice also, prioritize also the upswing as well. So the raise of the knife, think about the same thing. What I'd want to avoid is that there's tension up and then it kind of pulls the knife up. Think about just tracing that line back up. So you trace it down, you trace it up, especially on the up motion. Notice whether the wrist is actually free or not, because we tend to kind of fix onto the knife and then I end up with like a dead joint at the end. So think about the wrist being very flexible, especially for knife work, more than the other weapons. I need the wrist to be mobile. The wrist is basically where a lot of the motion is going to come from in the case of the knife work. Again, it's a kind of extension of the koki work we do. If you think about spirals, the wrist is really essential for all kind of spiral work to happen through the arms. Yeah, great, perfect. Very nice. Great. Good. And then just if you just take the supporting hand away, so just let it be at the side. Obviously, one of the most common knife attacks you actually see is actually involves grabs. So it would, if someone really is trained with a knife, they're going to grab you and then they're going to stab you with it. So actually, the free hand is actually just as important as the knife hand. So in this case, just allow that hand to be there, just to the side of the body, and just let the arm come up and just slice down again. So let it come up and just slice it, and just notice that kind of free hand. You're going to keep it relaxed, but just notice that it could be used to grab, maybe strike, control, all these kind of things, block, receive. But that free hand is really important to be able to use, and that's one of the dangerous things of having someone with a one-handed weapon. They've got the other hand free to use, which is one thing you don't have with sword and geo work. Yeah, that's it. Great. And again, just switch the hand that's controlling. That's it. Okay, great. The other thing, one thing now is just notice one thing, which again is if you think about whether I'm going to cut with the blade, I'm really going to cut with this area, maybe a bit into this area. But what I'm not going to do is like slam, is pull the knife down so that part kind of cuts and then that part cuts. What I'm going to do, if you think about cutting like vegetables or anything with a kitchen knife, I want to use the tip to basically slice and pull. So the motion is a kind of circular motion, which is going to lead to a kind of slice in a sense. So the slicing motion that we do later with this is basically it's a slightly more of a round motion, and my intention goes right to the tip. So like if you're cutting anything, I don't want to cut with the handle part and then try and drag the tip through. You're really cutting with the knife part with the tip. So just play now with the 1 foot forward. Again, just that same motion coming through the body. Don't worry about the feet at all. Just raise through and cut down. the backhand's going to start to kind of come into this now. What I use the backhand for is again protection and protecting this part of the body, but it's also there in case I need it to be able to grab, to protect, to deflect, to do these kind of things. But just notice it's kind of there, and it's going to want to get involved, but just allow it to be neutral. But again, just notice, or just really fix the tip of the knife on that point in front of you, whether it's a door frame or a line on the wall. And just really follow it. And in this case, you're aligning now the hanmi, the footwork, the hip work to that point as well. So imagine the whole body is basically aligned to your line. That's basically what you want to do. So the whole body's gonna create the showman. Nice. Yeah, great, John. Nice. Great. Very nice. So we'll just give the backhand something to do now, but again, it's quite loose. This is this can be used for lots of things. I'm going to use it either as a protection or actually to take and grab the person. So in this case, play with the feet a little bit. We'll start to bring them in. Imagine you're doing like the first degree. Trying to show my feet. So you're going to pull the foot back like you're doing the first degree. Find the top and allow that hand to just kind of come out and reach this way. And then as you come, allow it to just pull back to the body this way. So you're going to reach out with that hand and then pull it back. Reach out and then pull it back. It's a little bit like you would do a skeet with a karate kind of strike. So the sense of kind of reaching out and pulling back, reaching out and pulling back. And one of the uses of that movement also is grabbing, pulling towards you, boom, and hitting. So it's used to basically either a deflection with the backhand, used to intercept, or it's used to actually control. Yeah, nice. Just bringing all the body now into it, the feet, the hands, both sides of the body, and the knife coming into it. Yeah, good. Ah, okay, nice. Very nice. Great. Perfect. Nice. Okay, great. So we'll go to one kind of classic attack in this case. Really, it's a kind of simulated attack. It's not a kind of common knife attack actually, but there is a more of a practical way to do it. But it's also mostly for coordination in the case. So you're going to, in this case, step back, and you're just going to conceal the knife behind the back leg. So it's just all your potato mash, whatever you've got. You hide it behind the back leg, and then what you're going to do is you're going to step in from the back leg, step in and cut with a knife, and then just pull back. Again, bring both hands into it. So as you reach, come up. This hand's either protecting or again taking and pulling towards the body. So your back concealing, knife just behind the back leg. Reach up, slice it this way. So the whole body's going to do it in this case. So you can do both. I'm just going to stick with the right side in this case to make it easier. But if you want, mix in left and right. And the first step, again, like all weapon work or any kind of movement, is coordinating everything. Don't think just yet about power or speed, just coordination. Good. Nice. Okay, great. So think of this a little bit like a kind of pouncing motion. So this is the same dynamic that you got with the second through with the sword. So if you've got like both hands on the book and you roll back, the benefit of the second through is that you're at the top position already, and then all you've got to do is basically slice the hip down or bring the hip down into the ground. You've got a slightly more complex action in this case because you've got to raise the knife up during that point and then slice it in that way. But think about the same dynamics. Basically, it's like a kind of the feeling I have with this is like a cat pouncing. So it's like you're rolling the body in. Yeah, you're sprung up and then you release and you pounce forward with it. And at the same time as you're pouncing with the body, the knife's basically slashing forwards. So it follows that same dynamic as the second through with the bokkuri. So it's just a little bit more complex in the case of the mechanics. You're raising during the step. Yeah. Okay. Okay, we'll try and link the feet up as well. So coordination, look for this as you raise the sword, as you raise the knife, the compression's in the front foot. So when you raise it, you're really in that front leg this way. So in the left leg, and then as I slash with the knife, the compression goes into the front foot this way. So think about as you go into this, the two parts of the movement is the raise, compressing into the front leg, and then the slice of the cut, compressing into the front leg. And then the back foot just comes to meet it. And that just allows you for your next movement. But think about this kind of compression and linking it to the knife, to the arm work. Now basically need compression to work, otherwise I'm throwing the body forwards or I'm pushing out of the ground. And neither of those are particularly functional, especially for knife work. Yeah, that's it. Good. Nice. And now you've got coordination. Think about weight again. So think about delivering weight. So it's a little bit, again, it's a little bit different than we do with the sword because you're looking to basically deliver a percussive impact. With this case, you're looking to basically deliver that same percussive impact with the body, but it comes out with a slice in the hand. So the hand is doing more of a slicing motion than we do with the sword work when we work it. So think about weight as you go in. And again, I need the weight to be sinking down into the ground and then releasing into the ground. So think about less about the knife now, the arm. Think about the weight in the core of the body, basically hitting the ground. You're going from A to B, and you want the weight to basically stay and roll with you. And if you've got coordination and you've got weight, you've got power at the end. So that's it. Great. Great. Good. Great. There we go. We'll just do one more exercise. Keep the same side, so just do it with the right hand. The skills with knife, but there's lots of skills that we do with knife. The other one is to basically is how to pass the weapon. But we'll start with the idea of basically how to change the weapon. So we'll do you've got the 𝘱𝘰𝘪𝘐 attack. We'll do now the 𝑔𝘰𝑬𝑪 attack, which is kind of the base for all knife work. It's the most common knife attack you'll find. Obviously, it's a weapon that's really designed to stab. So the stab that we do, the thrust that we do with the blade facing upwards. So if you've got your potato masher, you have to turn it the other way as you do it. So in this case, you've got the spine down of the knife and the blades up. The reason for this is that it's not just you can do it that way. It's not that it's wrong. You can do that way, obviously. But the movement that we do with the ski is an arcing movement upwards. So it's coming up, basically plunging in, and then it's going to continue and pull out this way. So the motion that we do later is basically that and pulling up, So it follows the very similar ski work that we do with the 𝑗ō, the sense of arcing the thrust this way. So the reason we do that with the knife facing up is for that. So we'll start with that same kind of footwork. So you've got the left foot forward, the knife at the back here, just kind of concealed behind the back leg. And then you're going to, again, roll through the feet, come through, and the thrust goes here, and then pulls back. The thrust goes here and pulls back. So it's a arcing motion more than this kind of motion, which is a really common way to do it. But in our case, we're still trying to train the dynamics that we get in the rest of the weapon system. So in this case, the ski work that we do is going to follow that same dynamic, a little bit more subtle. Just try and feel that slight arc from the ground up. Good. Good. So you've got the two arcs. If you think about the bokken work, you've got an arc which goes from the top to the bottom with a slide, and you've got the ski work that we do, which is an arc that's going from the bottom to the top, or in a sense, low to high. So it's a kind of raising arc through the body. In a sense, kind of the difficult one of the two, because as the strike is coming, the arm's lifting, and I need to match that with the body basically rooting down. So I need to meet the out and the up really with the down and the back of the body. Okay, yeah, you can do that. Yeah, that's it. But yeah, good. That's it. Yeah, perfect. Good. Good.
How extended should the arm be when
yeah,
at the point of impact?
Yeah, good question. As a general rule, I never want the arm to be like totally extended, like the elbow. What I never really want to give is my elbow fully in full extension, because basically it's like weak for me in a sense. And a lot of the techniques that we do, if you think about like �㈉𝘢𝘪𝘁 and all those kind of thing, they're trying to exploit the elbow where I can't use it anymore. So as a kind of general, I think about extension to the extent that it's fully lengthened without becoming rigid and locked out. So yeah, that's a basic. And I want, if you think again, it's like think about this as a Kokyu movement. I want that same sense of like a rounded, slightly release quality, and that same kind of quality I have in the knees as well. So the knees and the elbows kind of follow the same logic in a sense, that I want them bowed, not extended, or not overextended. Yeah, perfect. Great. So just link these two now together. So you've got a choice. You've got the blade that way, facing out, and you've got the 𝘱𝘰𝑦𝑢𝑐ＨI that way. And then as you come back, let the knife change, or your potato masher change. You've got the blade facing up, and then you thrust in. And just mix in the two. You can do a couple of one, or you can mix in, alternate them. The key skill now is the ability to feel the position of the knife in the backhand without needing to look at it, and just the ability to change the knife. And it's a nice simple change. You're just basically rolling the knife, the handle of the knife. So you need a kind of flexible grip, but it needs to be sealed as well. I don't want to lose the weapon. So you got a 𝘱𝘰𝑦𝑢𝑐HI and you've got a basic 𝘠𝗏𝑡𝗏𝑢. Yeah, that's your other one. Wham! That way. Yeah, good. Yeah, good. Nice. And just do a few really with your eyes closed or like half closed. So just try and feel the knife, try and really feel the balance in the weapon. Or the potato one's going to be hard to feel, but it's just going to be the same all the time, depending how you use it. But notice with the knife, Feel the weight in it and try and really feel it. Don't think it, basically.
Michael,
Yeah, sure.
the potato masher is going to have to bow out because we're going to do paper round.
Okay, good. Good luck.
Okay, thanks.
Don't
See
take
you.
the potato masher.
Yeah, I hope to advance to that at some stage.
Nice one, John. All right then. Bye, everybody. Bye, Michael.
See you soon.
Bye.
Okay, good. Good. Okay, we're going to do one more attack. So there's quite a few attacks. These are the kind of three basic ones. The next one is the 𝘥𝘢𝘦𝘴, and this is using the knife in a really different way now. So this is blade facing down. This is a really classic psycho killer movement, but actually a really common knife attack. I mean, it's like a joke, but it's like this is a really common knife attack. The attack for us 𝘥𝘢𝘦𝘴, this is really like a plunging strike. So this goes basically to the carotid arteries, all this area, and it's basically a thrust which goes down. Really one of the most common attacks, especially in the house. Household knife attacks or weapon attacks tend to involve this attack. So it's a downwards facing grip. The blade's facing out again, and we'll just play with the 𝘥𝘢𝘴𝘴 a little bit because it's a little bit tricky in a sense. Go back to shoulder width, just feet flat. We'll try and bring the hands in as well. So you're going to use the hand up at the top. That this hand goes to the top of the head, and then you release this hand with the hip and let the knife basically thrust down or plunge down, and just play with basically coming in and out of that motion. This, and really try and feel that the grip is such that I can basically feel the tip of the weapon, so I can feel the tip basically in and down that way. And again, it's got a subtle arcing motion where you're using the full cutting ability of the knife. That's and the first thing's coordinate. Really in this case, use the other hand to really assist you. So the knife hand is going to go to basically around the top of the head. I think about the base of the thumb. It's at the top of the head. That hand's going to reach out and then let it pull back to the body, and that pull back is going to balance the motion out in the hand. So, if you've done karate before, the free hand, or the non-punching hand, you're going to use to basically balance out the body, and then later it's used to kind of be functional, to block, to pull, to grasp, all these kind of things. But the first step with it is just kind of balancing the spine in the base, not allowing that front downward motion to pull you out of your core. Yeah. One way it might help also is rather than thinking of the hand kind of coming down, think about the hip, the core basically pulling it down. So the feeling in this case is like the tip of the weapon and the core of the body are linked, and the motion basically comes from the hip, releasing and pulling it down. So think that the arm's being dragged down by the core rather than the arm pushing out, basically. So it's, in a sense, more of a pulling motion, but the pull's like an internal pull. It's coming from the core. Yes, that's it. That's it. Okay, great. Yeah, very nice. There we go. Great, and then just bring the footwork back into it. So same footwork as before, and again, you're just going to conceal the knife. This time I can just conceal it behind the forearm. So it's slightly concealed behind the leg, but mostly it's done by concealing it here in the forearm. There were a couple of fights I've ever had in my life. This one actually happened, wasn't with a knife, but it was with something basically, and it was tucked in the sleeve of the coat and then pulled out during the attack. So this is actually quite a common thing to happen. The knife's concealed here. The back foot's going to come in. What you're going to do is reach up to against the top of the head, and then as you come in, plunge it down that way, and then just pull back again. So again, just working with the feet coming up, compressing the weight down, and then let the center pull the knife down that way. And again, it's got a kind of stabbing motion down. So for us, this is a 𝘥𝘢𝘴𝘴 attack, based in application of what you do with the empty hand, 𝘥𝘢𝘴𝘴, this way, but it's using really the knife in a downwards position. Yeah, great. And if you think about the strike with this has to be a Yokomen, because I can't do that. You could do this with a Shomen, it would be effective. But if you think to be really effective, it needs to go in that way. So it's going to go in basically through all that area. So that basically needs to be, in this case, basically a diagonal motion of the knife. So you can do it that way, and that's sometimes as an attack. But think about, in this case especially, a slight kind of diagonal motion of the knife. Yeah, so. And if following the same logic as our weapon system, the hip is going to create that motion. So what we did all before, Shomen this way and ski this way, that all involves the hips basically tracking forwards. The hip now, in a sense, needs to kind of arc out a little bit, and the hip needs to adjust to that motion. So the back hip especially is going to open up a little bit more. So if you think about the Yokomen work we do with the Bokken, try and apply the same logic. That's it. That's it, perfect. Nice, good. Ooh. Good. Okay, so we'll look at a few variations. We'll look at this tomorrow as well. I think we'll look at the knife again. So there's lots of variations which are specific to the knife. One of them is basically a reverse of the Yokomen, which is to take the knife that way and then thrust across that way. So it's coming to the other side of the neck. So we'll look at those tomorrow. Just play with these three. So move around the space, but you've got three hand positions for the knife, or three. You've got that position for the slice or for the Shomen. You've got this position for the thrust, and you've got this position for the Yokomen. And just play with those three, kind of move around with it. Again, try and feel where the knife is without needing to look at it, and just play with it. You've got Shomen-uchi, you've got ski, and you've got Yokomen-uchi. That way. Just cycle kind of between those three. Again, you can do a couple of one, few of the other, or you can just cycle, alternate. That's it. So nice. Good. Very nice. Good. I just notice one tendency now as I go to kind of switching and changing, I start to lose the object or lose the target. So in this case, really fix a target. I've got a really nice line here, which is like a black wall and a white wall. So really notice as you do the pull backs or the draw back, as you go, really try and keep that, maintain that focus, because the tendency is to start to go towards the knife. So you thrust in, keep that as you go back, just let the knife change. Keep the focus all the time to that. Change and let that just change. But that focus stays nice and clear as you let the hand do its job, basically. That's that good. That's it. Whoa. Oh, okay, that's 30 seconds. Just play with the knife. We'll kind of play with a few knife skills. We'll look at this week probably. We'll just keep going with the knife work. So just play with your shoulder width apart, and just play with just 30 seconds or so. Just pass the knife around. Treat it like it's a blade, or treat it like it's your spatula. Treat it like it's dangerous. So treat it with care. But again, just allow yourself to kind of focus out. Let the eyes just kind of settle on the horizon. If you want, just close the eyes as well, and just feel the blade just pass around the body. Like hyper aware of the blade itself as it passes along the body. Let's play with it. So we'll play with, obviously, there's some those are the kind of the core attacks that we've got, and they basically follow the same logic as the rest of the weapon system. And then we've got basically a few variations of it. So we'll look at those this week, and we'll look at combining them a little bit as well. Great. Very nice. Okie dokie, great. We will start that. So, okay, right. どうもありがとうございました。
どうもありがとうございました。
Okay.
Thank you.